Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I got a comment on my last video about Lindsay Ellis being driven off of Twitter. You know, she was canceled for a take about Raya and the Last Airbender. No, Raya and the Last Dragon. She compared it unfavorably to the Last Airbender, and for some reason SJWs went nuts. And it seems like this is more of the tanky version of SJWs or the leftists, like this the super hard left. They seem to have a big problem, or they clearly have a big problem with Lindsay Ellis, because I guess they consider her a liberal or neo-lib. I think there's something to do with a tweet she made about how important it is to, or how important it was to vote out Trump, that even if you don't like Biden, you got to make sure you vote for him. One of those vote blue no matter who type tweets, I guess. And people took offense to this. And that's what it seems. I didn't look too deeply into it. I saw on Patreon, I didn't see it myself, somebody else was showing on Patreon, Lindsay Ellis was basically apologizing for handling the whole situation poorly, which I don't think she did. I guess what happened is when people first attacked her, she snapped back. And, you know, people just doubled down, and then she finally just deactivated the account. So she may not come back at all. I feel like social media, people take it too seriously and don't use it for fun and profit like they should. You know, they spend all their time, you know, because they're not doing anything else, finding the stupidest things to complain about or to make a big deal about, instead of just retweeting hot babes or old movie stars or movie clips and yelling about comic books and anime or whatever. But like I said, so I got a comment on the last video, or on that video, where the person said regarding her being canceled and her running off of Twitter, her being Lindsay Ellis. I don't think I have to explain this, but so the person said, well, she had it coming, didn't she? She was canceling J.K. Rowling for years and making a living off it. So whatever. You reap what you sow. And it's funny, I saw this comment when I went onto my channel, because I was thinking to myself, the day when this posted, I think it was like 5 days ago, the day when this person posted a comment, they must have posted it like 20 minutes before I went on YouTube, because I was thinking, it is funny. I wonder how she feels, Lindsay Ellis, how she feels about the ironic situation of being canceled by people you're on the same side as. I don't know if she's ever witnessed this happening to anyone else, but particularly in comic book circles, you could be an SJW, and if you say the wrong thing, you'll be immediately castigated, driven out of the so-called community. So I was wondering, I was like, wow, you know, she did a couple of videos. I don't think that, you know, this person made it like, you know, she was doing you know, constant videos. I don't think they said it, but in other words, it seems implied, you know, that basically it was a grift on Ellis's part to make a bunch of videos about J.K. Rowling and make money off of it. And I don't think that's 100% fair to her, because she's definitely an SJW, and I think in the instance with J.K. Rowling, she definitely believes what she says, and it's coming from a place where she's like, look, this person is harmful. Now, see, but my issue with that, and with all SJWs, is how they overblow everything. You know, everything is blown out of proportion, and I understand, you know, the need and the urge to protect, you know, marginalized people and communities. But really, you know, normies don't care about a lot of these issues. You can ask most people who are not big online about Harry Potter, and they're not going to say, well, isn't J.K. Rowling a transphobe? Most of them probably don't even know what a transphobe is. I looked into it more, because as far as I thought I understood it, and I couldn't remember how this all started, Rowling was saying, well, I support trans people, but, you know, apparently I don't think that they're real women or something. I didn't know exactly what it was. So, but I thought that's what basically it came down to. Yes, I support trans women, but make no mistake, they're not biologically female, you know, and we need to protect our biological females. So whatever. But what I ended up seeing, and actually when it happened, I guess I did see it, but didn't pay too much attention to it. There was an article or a tweet or something that Rowling snarkily replied to. The headline, or there was maybe a line in the link of the tweet that referred to people who menstruate. And so she took offense to that, Rowling, and was like, duh, what is people who menstruate? That's women. Like, and she got offended. And, you know, she's a writer. She's an old head. So for her, she sees people who menstruate and she's like, what's all this PC nonsense? Women are women. How dare you, you know, or people who menstruate are women. Like, how dare you erase us or something. Now, the thing is, she's just a normie in that respect, too. You know, as people who are into trans rights and who are support trans rights deeply and, you know, study it and know all the science and the jargon and all of that, pointed out, well, you know, people who menstruate is because there are trans men who menstruate. And since, of course, you know, trans men are men, right, in the language, they have to say people who menstruate. So, I mean, I feel like all you have to do is tell her that. And say, hey, let me kind of educate you in the way we talk and the way we conceptualize and, you know, what's going on when we talk about gender and the spectrum of gender, all this stuff, like social contract, all that. But no, they just all jumped on her because she's supposed to know these things. And I think that's one of the things that hurts a lot of activism is when people who know more than the average person attacks an individual for being dumb as opposed to trying to educate them. And it's, you know, it's easier to attack somebody and just be reflexively, hey, stupid, it's this. You know, who wants to sit there all day and give somebody a college lecture about something? But I feel like, you know, immediately you're getting attacked online. Of course, you're going to double down. I mean, either that or you're going to leave, like Lindsay Ellis did. So I think it's kind of funny that, I was thinking it was kind of funny that, you know, she's made a few videos about Rowling. Now, the first one, Death of the Author, was about Rowling, but she didn't spend as much time talking about Rowling. And the second one was directly about Rowling and about whether or not it's moral to continue to support her. Like if you're reading Harry Potter still or buying Harry Potter books and merchandise, you know, you're materially supporting her, so it's morally wrong to do it because she's still alive and because she's knowingly using her wealth and influence to spread transphobia. You know, it's like, this is what SJWs always do. They take someone else's platform, and if you don't agree with them 100%, you know, if you don't care about a particular issue 100% that they do, everything you do is meaningless. You know, everything is focused on the one thing. So none of her other works, nothing else that she's done in her life, Rowling, matters. She's a TERF, so, you know, it's morally wrong to read her books, even if you buy used copies of it. So now Ellis said in that particular video, you know, this is only directed at people who are like struggling with this idea of like, I love Harry Potter, do I have to give it up? Basically, she's like, yeah, if you feel like, you know, if you love Harry Potter, but you support trans rights, you have to give up Harry Potter. I think it's bullshit. You know, in this society that we all live in, whatever you love is likely made by somebody who's a piece of shit in one way or another, especially older works. You know, it's ridiculous almost these days to be like, Shakespeare didn't write enough dark-skinned characters in his plays, so we have to cancel him. You know, there are people literally trying to cancel classical music, you know, because of not being progressive enough or elitist or some other bullshit. So I just thought it was interesting with Ellis making, I said 3, right? So the first video was Death of the Author, but she was talking to one of the Green brothers. I think it's Hank Green. I actually didn't understand the point of it. I know it was directed at Rowling, this idea of like the relationship that the reader has with the writer and how she was basically, trying to say in that one without directly saying it, that you have a relationship with that author. So what you say matters to the reader. But like I said, she had like little inserts of Rowling, but it was more she talked about Hank Green about it and just talked about, the theory of it, which again, the whole death of the author and all the navel gazing around is like, I don't give a shit. Story's done, the story's done. If you want to add things to yourself about it, fine. But, it's over with. It's like the whole who pumps the Batmobile's tires. No one does. It's just a made up story. You can't account for every perspective when you're doing a work of art. You just can't. It's like these idiots who were mad at Ghost of Tsushima for not, having the Mongols perspective more. Like, talk about the Mongols' voice was like they robbed the Mongols of their voice. This is the fucking invading army who just unleashed an onslaught on these fucking people on this island, and yet somehow we're supposed to listen to their language and translate it and humanize with them at the same time we're supposed to be humanizing, or not humanize, sympathize with them at the same time we're supposed to be the Japanese fighting back against them. It's like these things don't work. This is why The Last of Us Part 2 fails as a story, because you can't see both sides of the story. People know that there are two sides of the story. They don't give a shit. They've picked a side. Once you've given us a character and a perspective, and you tell us, okay, these people were attacked, and now let's follow their story. You're not going to sway us by saying halfway through the fucking game or story, okay, now look at this person's side. Don't you feel differently now? No, I don't give a shit. Anime and manga is pretty good at letting you see the other side without forcing you to agree with the other side. So they still have the perspective of the hero, but the hero always learns something, or often learns something from the enemy or the bad guy in some way. Like Naruto's really great about that. So yeah, it was an interesting comment. The idea that she reaps what she sows by doing the cancellation thing, because she did I keep forgetting to finish the 3 videos that I think she did. First one, Death of the Author, where she examines the whole Death of the Author theory, which is just too much for me. I don't care about that. The second one was directly about J.K. Rowling and the idea that if you support her financially, if you read her books, or even if you don't support her financially, if you read her books, get them used, go to the library, whatever, it's morally wrong because she's a transphobe. And then the third one is the one I hadn't watched yet, is just about the history of transphobia in the film, which of course relates to J.K. Rowling. I don't know if she mentions Rowling at all. I don't see how she possibly can go without doing it, but I haven't watched it yet. So yeah, I just really wanted to talk a little bit more about this, only because I was thinking about how, the problem with SJWs canceling people. And you could talk about consequence culture all you want, but making too much of a fuss about things online is just ridiculous. I think you can pile on politicians, but anybody else, it just gets to be a little too much. You could definitely disagree with them. You can have your opinion. But when you do devote time of trying to rob them of their platform, or pretend that anything that they say or do is going to harm a cause, irreparably, it's just ridiculous. It's like when they complain about, shots of Miranda's butt harms women because it teaches men how to sexually harass people. It's just ridiculous. Even the 6 Days of Fallujah controversy, where you have these big names in the video game industry trying to get that game from being published. And again, you can disagree with the game. I don't have any even interest in 6 Days of Fallujah. You could say, hey, looks like it's going to be about a fucking war crime. And the fact, though, what's stupid about it, again, though, is, just let it be released. You could educate people about, hey, don't fall for the bullshit story. But they don't stop there. They always say that, okay, now when people play this game, they're going to go Yeah, I love this. I'm going to go out and kill Iranians and Iraqis. Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to kill brown people. They literally had a petition where they said it's going to support racism and it's going to turn people into mass shooters. Fucking ridiculous. But I don't want to go on too much longer about this. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you all later.